Today, we're diving into a tool that is absolutely revolutionizing healthcare. And no, it's not some fancy new drug or a high-tech surgical robot. It's something much more fundamental, a way of seeing that helps doctors and policymakers make critical, life-saving decisions in a matter of seconds. You see, modern healthcare is practically drowning in data. I mean, think about it. Every single patient visit, every lab result, every prescription, it all creates this massive digital footprint. And all this information is incredibly valuable, of course, but it's also just overwhelming. It's a raw, unmanageable flood of ones and zeros. So that brings us to the central challenge for pretty much everyone in healthcare, from the doctor in the clinic to the administrator in the head office. How on earth do we climb this mountain of data to find the insights that actually lead to better, faster decisions? To figure that out, here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on the sheer scale of this data overload. Then, we'll see how visualization gives us a much clearer picture by tapping directly into our brain's biology. We'll also look at the smart frameworks that make these visuals so powerful. And finally, we'll see it all come together in a massive, real-world case study, Indonesia's national health system. All right, first up, let's really dig into that core challenge. Because, it's not just about the amount of data, it's about how incredibly complex it all is. Just picture it for a second. A single hospital has dozens of departments, all these intricate clinical workflows, and tons of different stakeholders, all generating information at the same time. Now imagine you're a decision maker who has just minutes, maybe even seconds, to act. Trying to make sense of raw numbers from all those sources, it's pretty much impossible. And that's where our hero enters the story. Because the solution isn't to have less data, it's about finding a better way to see the data we already have. At its heart, data visualization is basically a translator. It takes that confusing mess of raw data and turns it into something our eyes, and more importantly, our brains can process in an instant. This isn't about making pretty charts for a presentation. It's about finding the clear, simple story that's hiding in all that noise. And hey, this isn't just a cool theory. As the Indonesian Ministry of Health points out, being able to actually see trends clearly allows them to respond to public health crises so much faster. That's the real-world, life-saving impact we're talking about here. So why is this so incredibly effective? Well, the answer is actually baked right into our own biology. It's all about how our brains are hardwired to see the world. Okay, neuroscience gives us a truly stunning number here. Roughly 30% of our brain's cortex, the part that does all the heavy lifting for thinking, is dedicated just to vision. We are, quite literally, built to see. Now let's put that in perspective. Compare it to our other senses. Only about 8% of the cortex is dedicated to our sense of touch. And get this, a mere 3% is dedicated to hearing. This huge difference explains why a well-designed graph can communicate a super complex trend in a split second, while trying to read that same data in a spreadsheet would take way more mental effort. So the bottom line is simple. Visuals win because they work with our brains, not against them. They do the heavy lifting for us. And this means that a nurse, a manager, or a policymaker can just glance at a dashboard and get the same deep insights that used to require a dedicated data scientist to uncover. It empowers them to act immediately. But hold on, creating an effective visualization isn't just artistic guesswork. You can't just throw things into a pie chart and hope for the best. It's a science, and it's guided by proven frameworks that make sure the final result is not just beautiful, but actually meaningful. A classic example is the Donabedian framework. It gives us a really simple but powerful way to measure quality. Think of it like this. Structure is what you have, things like enough beds or enough nurses. Process is what you do, like how long a patient waits for a test. An outcome is what you get, the result. Do patients actually get better? Visualizing all three gives you the whole story. But Donabedian's framework is just one tool in the toolbox. We can actually combine it with others to get an even clearer view. The balanced scorecard, for example, reminds us to look beyond just clinical quality to things like financial health and patient satisfaction. Socio-technical theory tells us to think about the human element, like, will this dashboard actually be useful to a busy nurse on her shift? And cognitive theory helps with the design itself, using simple cues like color and size to make sure the most important information just pops right off the screen. Okay, so we've talked theory. Now, let's see how all of this plays out in what has to be one of the most complex healthcare environments on the entire planet. We're talking about Indonesia.
a nation of over 270 million people, spread across a massive archipelago of thousands of islands. I mean, just trying to manage healthcare at that scale is a monumental data challenge.
And the stakes here could not be higher. The country is focused on these huge goals like reducing maternal mortality and achieving universal health coverage for all its citizens. Each one of these priorities requires incredibly sophisticated data monitoring to know what's working and where to put their limited resources.
And here's the core problem they face. Without effective visualization, data from thousands of individual clinics and hospitals stays trapped in local silos. It's stuck. It can't be used to shape smart, comprehensive national policy. Visualization is the bridge that connects all those local data points to the big national strategy.
An effective system really has to serve two masters at once. It has to provide that standardized, high-level view for the national policymakers, but at the same time, it has to give district-level managers the customized, detailed data they need to manage their local facilities day to day. It's a delicate balancing act that good visualization makes possible.
So we've seen how turning complex data into clear, intuitive pictures can literally transform healthcare. The technology works. The frameworks are there. The real question is, now that we have these incredible tools to see complex systems more clearly than ever before, what hidden problem, what major health challenge will we finally have the insight to solve next?